Hello everybody, it's the Nitty Professor. Today I learned on the news that someone with a lot of power is trying to take over Harvard University. So you can imagine that doesn't make me terribly happy. So after that, I ran across another video from Bernie Sanders with his tour about fighting oligarchy, and I found it very inspiring. So today, among other things, we're going to consider 6 ways to fight oligarchy with knitting. Now I'm going to start off with something very touching. So yesterday when I got out of my retirement party, which was very heartwarming. So I have been teaching in my position for 20 years, and the attendance was great, made me feel loved, appreciated, and I got some gifts. I got barking dogs too, but that's always the case. And then I ran over to my office because I had a Zoom meeting, and I found a package which it almost looked like Christmas. I was like, whoa, wait. So, I was like already touched by my colleagues, but then I found this other package which had yarn in it, and it was from one of you. I'll just call you SS. I don't know how far we want to go with identifying you. I'm very, very grateful, and the package had this incredible skein of wool in it, which I sincerely appreciate. This yarn is from, I don't know if it's pronounced Rafine or Raffine, but it's Virginia, which is an ancestral home of mine. In fact, my sister's been doing a lot of work on ancestors going back so far that they literally held slaves. And in the meantime, she has discovered the identities of some of the descendants of those shared, so we have shared ancestry, right? The slave owners and the enslaved got together, had children, and we are related. And it's kind of cool it's like things come full circle. So anyhow, I have profound connection with Virginia because we have ancestors that arrived there in, if I'm not mistaken, the 1740s. Hello, here's Paris. Paris got a present too. This is what Paris got. Thank you. Paris thanks you from the bottom of her paws. So yes, Virginia collection, manufactured by Pride of the Flock Woolen Mills. Yeah, you're gonna have to wait, Paris. We're gonna eat that, but it's just not gonna be like just right now. Pride of the Flock Woolen Mills. So there is apparently a woolen mill that is still operating in Virginia, and the wool is from Chester Farms. Don't eat my knitting. No. I'm guessing that this is the color. It's Stormy, and this is just a really gorgeous, thick, heavyweight wool. I'm certain that when it's knitted up and bloomed and washed and bloomed, that it will fluff out. It's clearly very woolen spun, so I'm really pleased with that. And then the other item, which again, thank you, YouTube fan, I am touched. So this is really cool. This is it's called Corny Goodness, and I looked up this fiber, and it's a way for farmers who are already producing corn to just have more uses for the product that are here it says right here, naturally non-microbial, renewable, and recyclable. Made in the USA. Made in the USA, local, buy local. We're going to talk about that shortly. The color on this baby is celery. So that's the information that we get there. So I looked it up, and I'm thinking this would be perfect, start out, because I've never used this fiber before. It says it's very strong, so I'm going to make a washcloth or two with that. And I'm, again, very touched. So the card says I have my permission to share it. Hello, Jenny. I very much enjoy your videos and think if we were local, we would be great friends. I am convinced that that's true. And I already have one of my German friends offering me a place to stay when I go over there. Don't know when it's going to be. But apparently, given the fragile state of relations, flight prices are going down for Europe. So I may have to take advantage. One skein I believe you might use. I'm going to use both of them. I really like that you appreciate a variety of vintage, Goodwill, and orphan skein finds. The others just for fun, enjoy. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it, and it's just so touching. And Paris is really pleased too. So that just makes my day. And just thought I would convey that I am. So here's the first sleeve, right? And the second sleeve grew last night. So now we're at this point. Got the little lions coming along. And I might knit here just for a few seconds on this one. I'm really trying to push myself to finish this sweater. Number one, I know it's going to be it's going to be beautiful. This brown sheep yarn is fabulous. I have lots of skeins of it, so I'll be able to make more sweaters. In fact, I really need to get cable knitting down. I know I've said that many times, partly because my son is sincerely interested in having a cable knit sweater from me, in probably a neutral or a darker color. I wouldn't want to knit it too dark because I'm afraid that it would be challenging, visually. To do that, I would have to have like a really bright light, and I don't know if I can put a light bulb that's higher than 100 watt into my knitting lamp. I could probably find something, right? I'm trying to resist buying a whole lot right now because I am, like I just told you, I just celebrated my retirement. It's not a complete retirement. I will continue to teach, but I don't want to overextend myself financially. So anyhow, I did buy some other light bulbs, and I'm going to see if they might be darker or brighter than what I have right now, because yeah, if I tried to knit cables in black or something like that, I think it would be a real challenge. Now, the other thing I'm working on that is progressing is this cute little hat. So right now it's looks kind of like a tube, but this is the 8015 hat. The colors are progressing nicely. And I've knit over 6 inches. My goal is to get to 9 so that I can fold this into a nice brim. This hat's going to be snug. I made sure of that when I decided to use 80 stitches on here with this basically DK weight yarn combined with the mohair. So I think it's gonna be nice and snug and warm next winter, or if we just happen to have a really, really cool day, because since it's April, this still could happen. So let's get into it here. I have invoked my good friend and pal, ChatGPT, to help me out. Now, lest we decide we need to critique, which is perfectly legitimate, the use of AI, because it does use a lot of energy. I'm very happy that they are resorting to solar power to counterbalance this excessive use of energy that is required by AI. I would like to go on record as saying that I am intentional about living in a place where I only have a 7-minute commute. My house is modest, so we're a family of 4, but we only ever had 3 bedrooms. So I feel like I'm doing my part to to conserve energy by my lifestyle. So I'm going to indulge my reliance on AI to brainstorm. It's kind of cool what you can learn for it. So I asked ChatGPT to help me with looking at some ways to fight oligarchy with knitting, and I'm very impressed with the results. So I've kind of gone over them, made some notes, and added and subtracted a few things. So we have 6. And ChatGPT introduces its response to my query by using the word subversive, which makes me really happy. Knitting garments can be a powerful subversive act. And the values that ChatGPT says we can align knitting with are ones that I already promote heavily. The first one being slow fashion. Then we have resistance to consumer culture. Yes, absolutely. This comes through in my novels on a regular basis. And another one is community empowerment. So in my novels, it's all about, the Fiber Guild. That's like the center. Community is huge in my novels. Community empowerment. So I totally agree with this outcome There probably are things that we could throw in, but this is just a start, right? And the terminology is also used: transforming your knitting hobby into a personal and political practice of resistance against oligarchy. So I think the ideas that I have in front of me really make a lot of sense. So the first one is to embrace and promote slow fashion. And the AI bot claims, and I agree with this claim, that slow fashion stands in direct opposition to the oligarchic systems of fast fashion. Fast fashion is another thing that I'm very concerned about. This very shirt is from Goodwill. I have quite a number of garments that I have procured from Goodwill. I don't know what the proportion is of my wardrobe, but between the handmade items and the things from Goodwill, it's probably like a quarter, I'm going to say, something like that. And I also I try to prioritize buying stuff that's made in America, even if I have to go back. Like the grand majority of my boots are made in America. That's like buying local, you know, so you're avoiding some of all the transportation across global corridors and that kind of thing. So some other things that go into this first point about embracing and promoting slow fashion is that you want to make your knitting visible, which is, guess what? That's why we're here, right? We're on YouTube. We're being visible, and share a commentary about the time, care, and intention behind each piece. And that's obviously front and center with what I like to do here. I think it's awesome. And thanks to this lovely gift that I received and the just incredibly supportive comments that you all give to me, I know that it works. You know, it's crazy how there is actually a positive place for social media to help to, you know, promote this visibility. Teach others to knit. Teach others to knit. Teach others to mend. Mending is also something that some of my friends at the Fiber Guild emphasize a lot. And it says that this reduces reliance on corporate systems. So slow fashion, homemade, make stuff by hand. Yet that by itself is resisting corporate systems. Label your work. It suggests that you tell the story of the garments, the materials, time invested, and the values behind your garments by applying labels. It reminds me of how my brother, who was a tailor, almost everything he made, he had a embroidered tag that he sewed onto there that had his name and then Atlanta, because that was his place. So that covers point one about slow fashion. Point two is community, specifically community building through fiber. And ChatGPT is telling me that community, let me make sure I'm not overdoing this. I gotta have 4 rows, yay. Or am I on 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, I'm on row 4. A strong community is a key way to fight oligarchic power, which thrives. So this is something I didn't know, but it makes sense. Oligarchic power thrives on isolation and dependency. The dependency thing I totally get. The isolation I didn't really think about. And, you know, I would invite you to think about this with me. Like, what do you think about that? That oligarchic power systems thrive on making people isolated. Like, is that, I don't know, I watch hoarders sometimes, and those people seem lonely. Like they're using their shopping addiction as a way to feel less lonely, to feel connected. So that's kind of interesting. So it talks about starting a knitting circle, create a space where people can gather and talk politics, share skills. We just met on Saturday and did this, supporting each other. One of the things that I do know about the knitting circle, of which I am a part, is that it is highly feminine. We do have a trans man. It's the rarest thing in the world for a man to join our group. Would love to see that change. I know that there are other places where men, especially in urban areas, it seems like it's much more common to find men in those communities. Mutual aid knitting, and I know some of you do this. Knit hats, gloves, or scarves for unhoused neighbors or those in need. I've seen people knit for hospitals, knit caps for premature babies, knitted knockers, I think they're called, for people with mastectomies, that kind of thing. And here's another idea that really appeals to me as someone who's written a lot on commodification. Fiber as currency. Explore barter systems. And of course, by trading yarn back and forth, exchanging yarn Sometimes people exchange patterns. Obviously we don't want to exploit makers of patterns, but sometimes if you make up your own kind of pattern, you can share it with others, or maybe even, I don't know, trade projects or something. Trade your knitwear for other goods and services. There's an idea too. I didn't even think of that. So, knit something for somebody, and then maybe they come and they tune your piano or something like that. This resists corporate-controlled economies. One of my biggest critiques of our economic system is that it's a one-size-fits-all system. And it doesn't work that way. Back in the day, like a few centuries back, there were multiple competing economic systems going on at any one time. From the commons, where people had land that they could freely roam to collect wood or nuts or, gather fruits or small game, to bartering and everything in between. Communal systems, like we have Hutterite communities here in our midst in the northeastern area of the state where I live, and obviously their economy is separate to a large extent from the overall economy. But just having everything be subject to capitalism is not good, especially when it's the kind of capitalism that we have today. Point 3, and mind you, I gave ChatGPT a few terms, but one of the terms I gave it was mindfulness. So the point that it's making is mindfulness as resistance. Knitting encourages slowness, presence, and care. I do like the idea of encouraging care. Of course, one of the values that we're seeing trounced of late is empathy. And there are some capitalist actors who've even claimed, I won't name them, but who've claimed that empathy is bad. How could you even claim something like that? So to the extent that knitting promotes not only slowness and presence, but also care, I think it's wonderful. Care for the animals that produce the wool that we knit with. Care for the people that we make the garments for. Care for our own selves when we make garments for ourselves. Then some subpoints are practice intentional making, use locally sourced wool or repurposed yarn. So here we go. This was locally sourced in Virginia. The wool I'm using is locally sourced. It's from Nebraska. Repurposed yarn. And I haven't done this yet, but, well, maybe I have just a little. Frogging wool sweater that you bought at a secondhand store, and using that yarn to make a new garment. And, it's such an incredible resource. I mean, think how much wool is out there, because it's pretty durable. Good wool holds up for a long time. And there's got to be a lot of it out there that people could knit new garments with, and it would still be just fine. Here's another one, public knitting. Now, the next knitting in public day is in June. So be visibly mindful in public, knit in places where people hustle, rush, and consume. And the claim is it's a gentle form of protest. I love that. It's a gentle form of protest. That sounds good by me. Then there's some information on journaling. Personally, I don't journal. I guess the reason is because I write fiction. So the idea of adding more writing seems a little bit like too much of a good thing for me, but I think it is a wonderful practice. My mother did a lot of journaling, and it suggests that you can reflect on how knitting centers you. And here's another claim that I found really interesting. This is a way to resist systems that seek to fragment your attention and energy. So again, it reminds me of the point that was made about isolation. The purposeful drive to fragment my attention, my energy. And I suppose that's true, especially if you look at a collective level, how if people are isolated, then collective action becomes extremely challenging. So that makes perfect sense. Now, point 4, this is something I haven't done, but I certainly have seen it done, and it makes a great deal of sense to me. Garments as political messaging. So the first idea that has is slogan knitting, and you can, literally put phrases into your knitting. Wait, look out, kitty cat. Look out. One of them being LGBTQ. That's pretty obvious. And then it suggested use colors and patterns or motifs to reference social movements. So I then went and I looked up, well, what colors are we talking about here? And I feel kind of dumb for even asking that, because the answers are kind of obvious. Black for anarchy. Okay, I might not be an anarchist. I'm sympathetic. But then we have red for feminism, purple for LGBTQ, green for environmentalism. Now that's one, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Here's one I didn't know about. Yellow symbolizing mutual aid. Blue for peace. That's pretty cool. And rainbow, which you all know how much I put rainbows on this channel. Rainbow for joyful resistance. So, joyful resistance. Certainly in the church where I go, there's a lot of emphasis on joy. There's also a lot of emphasis on the sacred. There's a lot of emphasis on human dignity and how everyone deserves respect. Then, wear it loud, wear it proud. If you wear your knitwear in public, it becomes, I like this, it becomes both armor and banner. Armor and banner. So I do take a lot of pride in wearing my hand knits in public. It's fun, and people sometimes even notice. Point 5, document and archive your work. This is another point that I would like to look more into this. Oligarchies erase grassroots efforts. Resist that by making a record. This goes back to the journaling point, but another point that falls under this, according to my friend ChatGPT, intergenerational sharing. Teach young people to knit. So this point was made, again, above, and if you add teaching about the political significance of the craft, then we've got a double whammy going on. And this 6th point, I really like a lot. Decommodify beauty and warmth. We certainly know that the beauty industry is all about making us feel bad, that we don't look pretty enough, and that if you just buy enough of those commodified products, you can fix that nasty old problem. So the idea that we should decommodify beauty and warmth speaks to me. I really like that. And we should reclaim the idea that worth is not tied to monetary value. Reclaim this idea. Worth is not tied to monetary value. So we're worth it. You know, making special garments for ourselves is because we deserve it. And there's some really cool ideas in here and I haven't tried it yet, but I think it kind of aligns with yarn bombing in a way, which is something that's also featured in my novels. Give without expectation. And yarn bombers do exactly that, right? They'll go out and just slather their knitting all over a park bench or a tree or, some public, a statue. They don't expect anything in return. They are just trying to contribute to making the community a little bit warmer and prettier. Offer something handmade in a world that values the mass produce. We do kind of value the mass produce. Ever since Betty Crocker. I mean, come on. Why do we have to mass produce powder to turn into cake? I suppose convenience. It's a point. But I don't know. It gets pushed on us all the time. Reject branding. Let your creations speak for themselves, not for a corporation. Certainly, I am not a fan of wearing a bunch of stuff that says Adidas all over it or Nike all over it. One of the things I like about heritage boots is it's generally not overtly labeled on the outside what you're wearing. There's some exceptions, but reject branding. Certainly when I wear a handmade sweater, nobody can tell, anything about the brand. There isn't one, right? There might be a brand behind the yarn, but it's not going to be displayed on the sweater. And then the last point, which I can get on board with, is to embrace mistakes as part of the narrative, which is a quiet rebellion against polished, algorithm-optimized culture. Yes, I like, this is a really cool point. So embrace our mistakes, and I'll confess one here right to you right now. So, you know how you're supposed to knit the ribbing with a smaller needle than the stockinette. So on this sleeve, I started, of course, with my size 5 needles, or maybe it was a 6. And then I forgot I was supposed to go up a size. On this sleeve, I did go up a size right when I finished the ribbing. On this one, I didn't. And I was like, I could frog it. Like, you can see there's a very small difference in the width. It's subtle, right? It's there. But I'm embracing my mistake. I was like, nope, I'll switch the needles now. I did. I swapped out the needles. So now I think these are 8s. It'll be fine. And I'm not knitting to wear perfection. There are people who can do that and that they pride themselves on doing that, and that's fine. But I am going along with, I have to untangle my yarn, with ChatGPT's suggestion to embrace imperfection. So anyhow, there you have it. 6 ways to fight oligarchy with knitting. For all I know, you love oligarchy and you're like, oh no, I want to be in the billionaire class myself. But for me, I kind of disagree with billionaires. I like the fact that, at least last I knew, in Germany, they literally capped the salaries, the payouts to CEOs, and we don't have that. So I think there's an issue when, the top 1% has more money than the bottom half of the entire country combined. So if you agree with me, let me know what you think about these ideas. If you don't, go to H&M and get yourself some fast fashion. They'll love you for it. So anyhow, I appreciate you. I appreciate the wonderful gift that I received. Thank you so much. I appreciate all y'all's kind words and invitations to get together. I also have a friend that I've met on this channel that I'm going to meet in Toronto at the end of next month, and I'm very excited about that too. So let's end with an ode to friendship. I appreciate every one of you for being a part of this little movement. Thank you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.